Thank you for coming. What we are is we're the Comic Book Artists Guild. Now, it's not just women. There are men too. Some of them are even in the audience. See?
Paul?
So, if you happen to be here and you're male, that's cool too. However, we are here to talk about women in comics, which is mostly male-dominated thing, with the exception of in Japan. Now, each of us have been in the guild. How long have you been in the guild?
I did. About 6 months ago.
I'm so old.
He's only 1 year older than me.
I know. So I've been in the guild for the longest. I'm the East Coast Vice President. The president is here, though he's remaining anonymous. Look for the guy in the hat. Not that one. We are looking at getting more people involved in our organization that are interested in manga and more of an Eastern feel. We are putting together an anthology which is for that type of artwork. So it's not just about more of the American stuff right now. Now, Sue, what's your role?
I am the membership coordinator for the Comic Artists Guild.
Do you do comics? So it's also not about that either. You can be involved in the guild on a lot of different levels. We have a cinematographer, case in point. We have members that are into music. It's pretty much a community, and it's about contacts, whether you're a man or a woman. Now, Liz, how did you become involved?
Well, I came here last year in Connecticon. Matt Ryan almost ran me over in the dealer's room. So told me to come over to the table, and he described what CAG is about. I had just finished graduating from college with a degree in illustration. So I gave it a try, and here I am, working on 3.5 projects right now.
And one of them is for the manga anthology.
Yeah, it's called Secret of Cyrus, which is a storyline I created back in 1998. So I'm taking that off the back burner. And right now I have Ash Cans of another storyline that I created almost at the same time called Rebels Underground, which is I'm selling for $1 at a table. Very good price. Has 5 strips so far, and is getting printed in an anthology in Chicago by Interpan Productions, run by Lance Boucher.
Seth, how did you find out about it?
Through a local comic book store in Bronx. They told me about it. Looked it up, sounded interesting, and soon enough, it's like, this is it's a good investment. Since the people that I was working with at the time were also in CAG. I was like, you know what, this is something to go for.
Now, I know that, Stephanie, you had to take the train in. Where are you from?
Yonkers.
So, New York. We have a chapter out there.
Yeah.
We have chapters all over the place. That's my point. Sorry.
That's okay.
I like you. So you don't have to be from Connecticut to be involved in CAG. And you also don't have to have a classic comic style, which is a lot of the times when you're looking at different organizations, a misconception. Now, I know from my perspective, I haven't had any problems since I joined the organization. I haven't had any problems with it as far as it being a male-dominated field, though I know some people have. What about you guys? Sue?
I luckily walked into a really good situation where a lot of the men that I met through the guild were part of the members, and there were only a few of us. I think there was one meeting where you and I were the only girls. And it's kind of tough because when I first started out in the organization, I was the new kid on the block, and I did not do comics. I did not even read comics. And so I don't know if that was the trial by fire for me or the fact that I was a woman. But I've also found that the organization is pretty much diverse, and it opens up the doors for everybody that has the willingness to work towards a common goal.
So, you don't have to be from Connecticut to be involved in CAG. And you also, don't have to have a classic comic style, which is a lot of the times when you're looking at different organizations, a misconception. What about you?
Well, for my experience coming from already an art school, art department, it really didn't bother me much, or at all even, because ever since I was a kid, I was already reading comics at a very young age and getting influenced. When in high school, I did a script my senior year, and I was the only girl in the area. Everybody else went to the Coach Harper's Speed section, and I was the only person that completed all the script for that year for the Harper Current Metro Bench High School newspaper. Everyone else just finished 1 or 2 pages and never completed their script from beginning to end. I was the only one, and I was the only girl. So it doesn't faze me much at all.
Thank you.
What about you?
Actually, I have a funny story, very interesting story. I do cartoons, but I also do, comic book stuff. I focus mainly on horror, and I got commissioned to do a comic book story. It was, at the time, it was 8 pages, and he just wanted to do like a little preview thing. So they handed out a con, so he went to WonderCon with the 8-page preview. The guy in the booth next to him comes over, looks at it, and he goes, "A woman drew this?" And he's like, "Yeah," and he goes, "I can tell."
Sure you want to sit next to me about
No. But I thought that was pretty, it's pretty ballsy, for lack of a better term.
I've had to deal with the same thing a lot of the times with my book. I either get comments that my character is effeminate. Yeah, it's pretty. I didn't want to draw an ugly guy. Or I get comments like, "Wait a minute, you did this?" No, I didn't. I did it on an Etch-a-Sketch and just transferred it over. So it's a mixed reaction. However, I have found that when you're looking at anime and manga, the reaction is very different because you have groups like Clamp, and you have other female-dominant groups. You have Yuki Kaori, you have those artists which are the dominant members of the field, where all the guys are trying to catch up. And that's a bonus about being involved in anime and manga. Really, there are no limitations, there are no constraints. Now, did any of the rest of you have any questions, or shall we open up for questions?
I like questions.
You want to hear questions? Do any of you have questions, or are you going to let me talk for the whole time?
Bring them on.
Bring it on, guys.
Show me what you got.
And you don't have to ask a question about women in comics. It could be just about the guild.
Yes.
Just so you said that in Japan at least there are a lot more women in comics, and the men are sort of starting to catch up. And I know there's like groups like Clamp which sort of appeal to both genders, but sort of like what gender will read a book? Will guys read shoujo, and then like girls write shonen?
I think really it's just a matter of personal taste. I mean, how often have you gone up to a book not knowing what it's about just because it's very, very beautiful, picked it up, and then gone, whoa, cool, but, what it is it's a matter of the artist's appeal, and I think that's been the hardest thing for people to get over, which is why I think, there are a lot of founded female artists. They're not looking at the name. Here there are too. However, what you find is you find a pen name, which is oftentimes a man's name, until you look into the artist or you look into the team and you find there are 2 women and 1 guy, and what he does is he inks. Tracer. Hard. He's hard. So there are women that are in American comics. There are women that are in Japanese comics. There are women in Australian comics, UK, anywhere. It's a matter of finding out where they are, and then it's just doing what you want to do instead of necessarily fitting the norm and calling yourself Stan.